Welcome to Funny Florida Females. I'm Clarice Kentwood.
And I'm Patti Hope.
And we're both comedians and Florida transplants. And with this podcast, we hope to feature and celebrate what makes Florida's females so darn funny.
Yeah, so Clarice, it's that time, that slog into the end of the year holiday season. Are you happy or sad? How do you feel about it? We don't know each other that well. So
I used to love Christmas and when I lived up in New Jersey, but it doesn't feel like Christmas down here. That's one thing that is hard for me. Is there's no snow. It's just
right. It's all like fake snow.
Yeah.
I gotta say. Yeah, you kind of have to make up your own tradition down here. That's where I'm at. Yeah. All right, well, today's interview, we're very excited to have Jesse JPaw Pawlish here with us today.
Yay.
Woo.
Hey, y'all. How's it going?
Jesse, I have an intro here. Wow, it's wonderful, very laudatory. Jesse performs nationwide and is a house MC at the Comedy Zone in Jacksonville. She was winner of Battle of the Ages and a finalist of the Florida's Funniest Female, Florida's Funniest Comedian, and Ladies Room Comedy Festival. She's participated in the Uncorked Comedy Festival and has been invited to the Comedy Chateau Festival, Portland, Maine Comedy Festival, and the North Carolina Comedy Festival Experience. Most recently, her biggest accomplishment has been to perform at the Laugh Factory in Chicago, girl.
Yes.
Good job.
Performing for over 11 years, she continues her love for comedy, becoming Duval County. Is that Duval? Duval. Oh, God, say it wrong.
Yeah,
Duval County.
She said it very
Famous
fancy.
Ever since. Duval. You go. Okay. So, hey.
Hi. So that's us Northerners, right? We don't know how to say these Floridian county names.
Sounded very French. Duval.
So, JPaw, what are some of the challenges of being a Florida comedian, a female comedian in Florida?
Well, that's a loaded question. I mean, so it's kind of a dual sword thing, right? So unfortunately, we do have some of the clickiness in Florida. You know, your pods kind of stay together depending on what city you live in, what county you're in, you know, what part of the state, Southern Florida, Northern Florida, the Panhandle. Because Florida is so big and stretched out, you know, there could be a comedian down in South Florida killing it that you've never even met, right? And trying to get that connection to get down there and then be with them and learn something, you know. And then some other cities, they don't always welcome you as much, and you're like, we're all in Florida, so you're thinking,
especially females.
Yeah,
you know, you'd think that if you see another female at a show, being not the norm, you know, you'd think that they would gravitate to each other.
And I will say normally, like, the females we do. Like, normally the females of the groups of Florida will kind of, you know, but part of the problem right now is there's not as many female rooms going on. There's kind of like an influx sometimes, and then it'll die down, and it'll come back up, and it'll go down. You know, yeah, like DeLand, I mean, you know, Leslie Joe. Leslie Joe's amazing. She has given me so many opportunities. She's given me so many shows, and she kills it. You know, she does a great job running everything, and she doesn't care who you are. You know, so she
doesn't play.
No, we gotta get Leslie on here for sure.
Oh yeah, please get Leslie on.
Yeah,
she's great.
So there's a lot of sort of demographics in Florida. You know, you have kind of the Gainesville area, the younger scene, the
College
villages,
town.
of course, are the older scene. So is there something specific that you feel happens? Like, you're mostly, when you're in Florida, you're mostly sort of Northeast focused?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I do come to Orlando a lot just because there are a lot more shows at times. You know, sometimes Jacksonville can get just a little bit saturated with doing the same stuff, being with the same people. I like to perform different places, you know, just kind of meet different people. And I feel like when you're doing that and traveling, that's going to challenge you as a comedian and make you work harder by being in these different rooms where you know absolutely nobody. Right. You know, I can go to Jacksonville.
Do you adapt your set for wherever you are, or not really?
I do sometimes, but like, you know, I don't have any material for like a super older crowd. So if I go to the villages, I don't know what I can really connect on, because I haven't been there yet.
Is your comedy, do you do like more blue as far as,
How would you
like,
characterize
No, I'm not dirty.
Okay.
I'm not dirty. But I am, I do some innuendos. I do innuendos. I don't want to perform for children. Like, that's not where I'm at either. I'm not a clean comedian. I'm not a church comedian. I'm probably PG-13-ish. You know what I mean? I won't drop an F-bomb, but if I need to make it more,
if it works
relatable
for the joke,
then I will. But I mean, like, my family comes and sees me in Jacksonville a lot. Like, my parents come and see me a lot. So it's like, there's things I talk about, but I'm like, I don't want to be like totally blue and my, mom go to work and be like, oh, my daughter's a comedian. You should come see her. And talking about
like, mom's work friends are all like,
yeah,
oh my God.
Clutch pearls, And I feel like that's hard in Florida sometimes too, is, you have to be really careful at times with what you're talking about and where you're at, which, I'm a very much of a component of say what you want, but be confident about it, right? But just know people aren't always going to like it, So if you're confident about it, it's whatever, but just know the audience isn't always going to react to it, okay? So if you go out there and say something and it's a Bible Belt situation and you're doing abortion jokes, it might not go over well.
Yeah.
The villages might not like that.
Like, you have the right to say whatever you want, but there's going to be consequences to whatever you say.
Correct.
So, I've seen that happen in clubs that, comedians will even be warned, like they'll get warned, listen, this is an older crowd, Alex at the joke joint. Yeah. Alex at the joke joint. He warns the comedians all the time. This is an older crowd. These are villagers people. Yep. And you really need to, make sure you don't go too deep into the blue stuff.
We don't want them getting up and walking out.
And getting up and walking out.
They're buying drinks, they're paying,
and over and over again, the comedians are like, yeah, I get it. And then they get up and, you could just tell the horror on the older people's faces sometimes. Like,
do that.
Because I'm right behind them still going like this, oh no. Oh, we're saying that. Okay, we went there. Cool,
All right, we're going to pause for a moment here and take a little break for a word from one of our sponsors.
So what advice would you give to other female comedians who are like just starting out in comedy in Florida?
To be true to yourself, for one, and to not really pigeonhole yourself. I've had a bunch of people come to me, how do you start? What do you do? Talk about yourself, because that's the most relatable. That's the most believable at times. Talk about yourself. Talk about things that you've done. Talk about things that you've gone through. And with the female aspect of it, I also tell them to be careful with who you trust, what you do with, especially younger female comedians and younger male comedians, or those mid-level comedians, they're like, oh, well, if I just make friends with so-and-so, and then so-and-so's got other plans for you, you know? And then it gets around that you're sleeping with 20 comedians and you're still doing 5-minute set, So it's
you really don't need to go that rude, girls. Don't even.
Please do not. Please do not.
Please stop embarrassing us.
Yeah. Dating a comedian, if you want to date a comedian,
that's
like whatever, but
let's face it, they're sad.
And I mean, there's
I don't know.
names.
I'm not going to generalize.
There's some names in the comedy community for, there's for women that do that,
No.
And it's, they're not nice names,
So anywy, this is what Leo wants to hear. He wants to hear.
There's chuckle fucker. Is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's probably the top one, actually.
I've never met a comedian that didn't make me sad.
I mean, we all have to be a little bit sad, I think.
I know, but to date one, no.
I feel like it's just to be a constant one-upper. You know what I mean? Like,
well, my husband does open mics.
Yeah?
He does the open mics. He doesn't do anything else. Like,
okay.
He just during open, he likes doing the open mics, and because he likes getting up and saying whatever the hell he wants to say, which is great. But It does sometimes, like, we have, after the open mic, there is that discussion on the way home of, like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Like, last week he said something like, that's why we do porn. Like, and I'm like,
Oh,
don't
they do
ever,
porn, yeah.
ever say
It's
we.
a whole backstory.
And, yeah,
It's a backstory
you know,
there.
like...
All right, we're gonna cut from Clarice's personal life and go back to JPaw. And I just wanted to ask
I'm really
you.
intrigued.
Right. Stay tuned for
When's that
the next
podcast
episode
coming
of
out?
As Clarice Turns. Yeah. So yeah, what do you like? Is it your full-time gig, or what do you do? So how do you balance all, like, whatever your side hustles or other career things are with all of this?
I do have a full-time job. I am fully employed. Unfortunately, I work for the man, you know.
Yeah, wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Work that out.
Yeah, and
Because you're out there, you're hitting it. I see you all the time, so good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it actually helped me a lot when we went to go work from home during the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Because you know, I could be out late, and then all I have to do is roll out of bed and walk to
Do the
office.
online thing?
Yeah, I do online. And you know, if I need a sleep
Bummer.
nap,
Now you actually
know.
have to go back to school. Yeah.
Well, actually, we're still pretty much from home.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do a hybrid if we want to. We can go in
Nice.
sometimes, which I do sometimes. But overall, I'm from home. And if I'm traveling, like I did the North Carolina Comedy Festival, I was able to work out there.
Right, from the hotel and whatnot.
Right. So
yeah.
I don't have to take PTO all the time. I'm able to actually fund my hobby because, I mean, as much as I would love for this to be my full-time job, it is more so a hobby for me.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair. So I'm able to fund that, you know.
Has it
and not
always
worry.
been a hobby for you, or is it that you know, did you used to do it more full time?
No, I've done it more full time recently
Okay.
than before. So I mean, when I first started comedy, like, you know, she said about 11 years ago, which is crazy. That's when I started my big girl job, and I wasn't working the nights and the weekends anymore. So I was able to go do the comedy, do the open mics and workshops and all that stuff. But you know, and there was some years where I would like do, you know, once a month I have a show, you know, or once a month I'm hitting a thing. But when I first started, I was doing a lot of mics, and then, you know, recently I'm trying to do more booked things, more, you know, paid things, more, you know, festivals, more exposure outside of my comfort zone type thing.
Do you do any Zoom comedy? Did you during the pandemic or anything?
No, I did not. People kept telling me to, and there was a few months where I thought about it, and then I was like, I'm gonna be more sad if I try.
It's hard.
You did it?
I started doing
bless you.
comedy on Zoom because I was petrified of getting up on stage.
Okay.
So you know, that whole standing on stage and people looking at you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in fact, the first 5 or 6 open mics that I did over Zoom, I didn't even have my camera on. I was just a voice and like,
Wow, that is wild.
yeah, it was like,
Could you see the other people? Or
I could
no?
see the other people, but because of the delay, it's
that's
weird,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, you have to really wait after you tell your punchline for that delay of the joke to actually get out there, and then them laugh and it be quiet in the room.
I'd be like waiting for the laugh after my punch, and it never come. Like, oh, I guess.
And then like, oh, we haven't froze.
I
Right?
guess the Wi-Fi, like, yeah, logged off for a second. You didn't hear it. It's fine. No, I really did think about it, and there was plenty of people that were doing it, and plenty of shows happening, and people reached out to me and asked me, and I was just like, I couldn't. I just. And there were some of them, like you said, you know, they could see audience members and they could, you know, hear back and
Yeah.
forth, and I was like, nah, it's not the same energy to me because I did theater before.
It
all
definitely
this.
is not the same energy.
Yeah.
So what about festivals? Have you've done some festivals, right? How's that been? How's that experience been? I have never done a festival.
The best one by far is the North Carolina Comedy Festival at the Idiot Box. Shout out to them, Jenny Steele. She is great. But it's at the Idiot Box up there in North Carolina. I forget that little town that's like above Riley and all that stuff. I don't know. Cute little town and everything. But I mean, you know, you paid like, I don't know, $25 for your entry fee.
Which isn't bad.
no,
for
not at
some
all.
festivals
No.
I've seen be huge.
Yeah, and she does like 2 weeks of comedy. So 1 week is all like improv type stuff.
Okay.
And then the next week is stand up.
So do you do improv as well?
I do not.
Okay.
I thought about it because like with doing theater, but improv, it's either really, really good or bad and terrible.
Greensboro.
Greensboro, that's what I thought. Thank you.
It just happened in September. Oh,
yes.
So yeah, she's looking for that for next
year. So that was a good one. It was terrific. Yeah. The people she picks, I mean, like there's like 200 people there between the improv and then the stand up. And so people are kind of coming and going and everything. She feeds you while you're there.
Oh, well, that's good.
Which
as a comedian is always a good thing.
Yeah, because she was like, come by for, we have dinner ready at this time. And I'm like, what? You're feeding me?
We'll have to put a link to that in the show notes.
Yes, please. I love that place.
Shout out to the
we'll definitely
North Carolina Comedy Festival in Greensboro.
And if you're ever there, though, just in Greensboro, the Idiot Box itself, they have shows all the time that you can get on. If you tell her when you're going to be up there. I mean, they did workshops. They did open mics all the time when I was up there. They did... people who were bookers came in and talked to you about what to do and set up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they took us to a grasshopper, the minor league grasshopper baseball game. Like, it was so much fun.
That's awesome.
And you got to meet so many people from different places. And I wish that vibe and that community, because it's people from everywhere, but I wish that community was everywhere for communities, supporting each other. Yeah,
and that's what we're all about, trying to build that positive community.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're all the same.
All boats float.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like, none of us are on Netflix or anything, And so,
any day now.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that call actually right now. And but so
what is next for you? What would be like
my next goal from here?
Right.
Like, what's your...
I never know too far out, right? Like I see something come up and I'm like, oh, that's it. And I feel like that kind of keeps me out of a depression.
There's always that thing out there.
Know what I mean?
Gotta get up. Because
I did do a festival last year in New York City. So I did it.
That's exciting.
Cool.
It was exciting to go to New York City. The festival was not great. So, don't really do that one. But I went up there and I was like, you know what? You got to do comedy in New York. They all say,
that's the place.
Go to New York, do comedy, right?
Yeah.
So I did the festival and I did a few other shows. And I am glad I was actually on one show that was terrible. It was terrible. And you're like, oh my God, you're normal here too. That makes me feel so good. Because you're like, you're thinking there's going to be all these
amazing, great shows with packed
awesome
people.
Yeah. And there's nobody there.
Right.
We all
the things you hate.
And we're like, oh.
I was so afraid.
New York, they have those rooms too.
Yeah.
I felt that way about Orlando, right? I was so afraid to go down and like even do open mics in Orlando because like in my mind, like that's the big city, right? And like the comedians are going to be so much better than me. And I mean, I'm only 8 months in now, so I'm not that great as it is. So, right? So, I went to Orlando for the first time last week, and I was like, oh my gosh, like.
There's normal people.
It's not that great.
Yeah, it's like
we're everywhere.
There's so many rooms. Yeah, there's so many rooms.
Yes, there's
people
so
are
many
bombing
rooms.
at every open mic everywhere.
Exactly, and then they might bomb at the open mic because that's really what that's for, right? Is that safe space? But then you get on a show with them and you'll see them bomb there too. And I'm just and then it'll be good, But it was nice to be in New York City and be like, okay, this sucks. The only difference is I had to walk here freezing my butt off versus driving, not so bad. But yeah, so it was a good experience. I mean, I went to the New York Comedy Club there and did an open mic there on a Sunday at like 6:00. And it was packed.
Wow.
Really?
Packed. Had great comedians. You got 5 minutes. And I was very thankful to get on that one last minute, but I was like, oh wow, it was actually a club, and there was people and there was good comedians. That's
what you're thinking. That's the bar, like that's the low bar, right?
Right.
Probably not.
And I mean, like when I went to Chicago, my goal was to get on the Laugh Factory, and that was intense.
I bet
it was intense, and they have a bucket. They put your name in the bucket. Mm-hmm.
So it's a draw.
Yeah, because there's so many people that go.
Yeah.
And they choose like 5 from the week before. So they have like 5 names that they draw the week before. They put them on the show, and then they draw like another 15. And so you're all waiting there. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try it out, see what happens. And unfortunately, my name didn't get called. So I was like, okay, well, there's plenty of mics in Chicago. let me see. So I went and talked to the girl, and I was like, hey, what is the next best open mic in town tonight? I leave tomorrow morning to go back to Florida. And she was like, oh, you're from Florida? You're leaving tomorrow? I was like, yeah. She goes, well, it might be late, but I'll get you on. And I was like, I don't care if it's 3 a.m.
See, that's the secret. When you leave, when you go, like, leave your area, like, it's probably a really good idea to let them, bookers and other places know that you're not from the area.
I tried to reach out to a bunch of them before I got there, and it worked a little bit, but she is just so busy, she didn't see my DM before I got into the city. Yeah. And so she was like, yeah, I'll get you on. It might be late. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to get
3 a.m. I will do it. I want that Laugh Factory behind me in the picture.
Exactly. Right. And so, but you get 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's tough.
3 minutes, and it's a packed night. There's like 24 comedians on.
Wow.
And they start at 8 or 9, I think was the time. And you get 3 minutes, and at your 3 minutes, boop, the music goes on.
You're out.
And your set is done.
Oh, man.
Does not matter if you're in the mid-sentence or not, you are going off. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Oh, wow. So it's like they mean a tight 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah. They mean it. And I didn't know it was 3 minutes before I got in there. I probably would have been a little bit more prepared
to do 3 minutes.
Yeah. And so the whole night, I'm just like, oh, my God. Like, I'm just like having like panic attacks and watch people leaving, and I'm just
crying.
Like, crying. And I don't really have like short bits at times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I got there though, because like I was with my mom and my cousin, and they came to the show, but we're there, at like, was this a Monday or two? I don't forget the day. But there's a line wrapped around the corner for people to come in and watch an open mic at the Laugh Factory in Chicago. And you're just like, really what is happening in my life?
Yeah, because we go to some open mics down here, and it's nothing but comedians.
Oh yeah, same in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's everywhere. Fortunately / unfortunately, but that when I got up there, I was like, oh my God, like I'm like shaking, I'm like panicking. I did okay, but it was not everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I did have to end, where I ended at, you couldn't tell that it was
cut off.
Yeah.
But you knew walking off the stage, right?
Yeah. And by the time I got on, it was a little bit later. It was probably like 11:30, and there wasn't as many people there. But I was like, I got the pictures. I got video.
That's the important thing, right?
Yeah. My headline picture on Facebook is a Laugh Factory.
There's the real.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like I'm having a great time, So, yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience of, I don't know.
Yeah, is there anything else that
0.01
would like the audience to know?
1.05x. I don't know.
Well, so you've only been in it for
like 7 or 8 months.
7 or 8 months. And how long have you been in it?
6 years.
6 years? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you get involved into it then?
I went on a cruise, and I talked to the comedian on the cruise, and he was like, you're really funny. Have you ever thought of doing comedy? And I've been I've watched comedy my whole life.
Same.
I've loved comedy.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm too, shit scared to even like, I don't like to leave my house as it is. So like for me, which for me to be leaving my house as often as I do to do comedy now is like, I'm a very different person now. Comedy has like made me a very different, more outgoing, willing to, socialize person.
That's awesome. That's a happy story.
Yeah, it is.
That's why we're here.
It doesn't usually happen.
Celebrating you, Clarice.
I'm more cynical now, I think. And
Well, 10 years in, I may have a very different
back.
Okay, you're still young and full of hope. That's right. Absolutely. Your boobs are still perky at this point in comedy. Oh, God. Right. Yeah, because for example, last week, Friday, because I told y'all, it's been a shit week, and everything. So Friday, I found out that I had $900 stolen.
Oh my God!
From my from my bank account, from my I said I have a job, and got paid Wednesday, and I guess, and we said fucker earlier. I guess the fucker knew it was pay week because beginning of the month, right? Odds are
Right.
You're probably getting paid. So, so I went to go send my mom $60 and it kept declining. And I was like, well, that's weird. That can't be good. And I checked my account and it's like -300. I was like, oh my God. Ishmael, wherever you live, Ishmael.
Oh my God.
It was a Venmo.
We are coming for you.
Yeah, it was Venmo, but it wasn't Venmo. It was so weird.
So that makes me scared, yeah.
So I am obviously helping pay for the war is what I've chalked it up to be. Yes. So, or if he was having a killer party, I wasn't invited. Either way, but I'm like at the point now where I have to like make jokes about it.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of starting the healing process.
Yeah, because I still haven't gotten like my loan money back yet from the bank or anything. So that's why I'm just over here just gonna crack some jokes about it because we're swiping on faith right now.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, we have a segment called Florida Woman that we do, and like we should have a scammer. It's unfortunate that
we should.
Yeah.
We will. Eventually, we will have like an
scam.
intro of music. But for now, it's just
like
Patti and I saying,
like, Florida Woman.
Boom, boom, boom.
So this, and we'd love your thoughts on this. This is totally from a whole other.
Oh, is this like a Florida man situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here for
Christine
it.
Hunter was arrested and charged with domestic battery after the incident that unfolded in Marion County on Thursday. According to her arrest affidavit, deputies responded to a domestic disturbance involving a 61-year-old woman and another woman. The relationship between Hunter and the victim remains unclear, but the incident was domestic in nature, deputies said.
Hold on, wait, scroll back up. Is that her mugshot?
That is her mugshot. Yeah,
She looks proud of herself.
yeah, look at that smirk, on her face.
She knows what yeah, I did it.
She told deputies that she and the other woman were in an argument that stemmed from the night before law enforcement was also called. And the victim was found inside on the floor next to her wheelchair, the report said. She said Hunter pushed her chair and knocked her over, and the woman fell while trying to hit her. So the woman also said that Hunter sprayed her with water. When asked why, Hunter said it was because she would not stop talking.
I get it.
She said, and she added, "You are no better than the dogs." Yeah.
Wow.
From Marion, Hunter from Marion.
And so the one in the picture, she's the one who did. Yeah, she knows. She's not mad. She's not sorry about anything she did. She's not sorry.
She hosed that old lady down to shut her up.
Well, they're both 61. So, right? Is that what you said?
No,
both 61.
I think she was 61, and the old woman was even older, I think.
Oh,
well, she was in a wheelchair. She was definitely infirmed. It was wrong. Whatever. She did not use good judgment.
Well,
clearly.
how did she get in the wheelchair the first time? She might not have learned the first time of when to shut up. So
yeah, maybe she just wouldn't shut up, and you
right?
have to hose her down.
That may not be the first issue with her talking.
I don't know if I can really be upset. What was her name? Marion?
No, that's the county.
Oh, well,
Marion, they don't give her name.
Marion, Florida Marion. I don't know if I'm mad at her for that, to be honest with you.
To hose her
down. It's only a $2,000 bond.
Yeah, and she's still in jail. She couldn't come up with that. Should we have a fundraiser? No. Take that out. Edit that.
Like a $2,000 bond, a bondsman, it should be like $200.
We can raise that money for you,
We can
Marion.
raise that money. That's what we're going to start doing
raising money.
No, we're not.
We're Florida Woman.
We're not today. Do not send us money for that.
Well, send JPaw money because she still is broke.
Send JPaw money to get her money back.
Ishmael still has my money.
OMG.
Thank you so much for being with us, JPaw.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys. This is great. I'm excited to see y'all go further with this.
And Patti, you want to...
Excellent, yeah. And we'd like to thank Leo Zuniga for producing this podcast and our sponsors for their support. And we'd also like to thank you, our listeners, for listening.
We love our listeners.
We love our listeners.
For viewers like you.
Viewers like
That's right.